I'm doing this on Patreon for a reason. You guys on Patreon have seen in my other videos on my other channels, the public channels, right? Then at the end, I'll do like a little song and dance saying, you know, if you like this video, go subscribe to my Patreon channel and I have over 100 videos, blah, 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 right? I do that. Now, why do you think I do that? Well, because I need to self-promote now, don't I? I need to make people aware that I exist. I need to make sure that people know where they can find me, know where they can find something that they consider valuable enough for them to pay for it, see? Because I mean, we're on Patreon, and what are you guys doing? You are very kindly paying $5 or $10 a month for my content, either an extra video a week or the weekly webinars. But how did you get here? You got here because I told you about it. I self-promoted myself. You found my videos on YouTube and whatnot, and you enjoyed some of that content, and you got deeper into the content that I created, and you eventually came to some self-promotion that I put out to get you to go to Patreon. You have to do the same. You have to self-promote. You have to tell people about yourself. Tell people about what you're offering. And you have to be strategic about it. Strategic in the sense of like knowing when to talk about it. Knowing when to tell people, the right people, that you have something to offer. I mean, like for instance, in this Patreon situation, right? This morning, I woke up bright and early and took a quick shower, put on some clothes, and went out and bought some food because I was running low and I actually didn't have anything for breakfast, okay? And nothing in the kitchen, as it were, for breakfast. So I went over to the supermarket. I got to the supermarket and I came across different people and whatnot. Do you think I mentioned the Patreon channel to any of those people? No, of course not, because they don't see my content, because it's a completely different relationship, see? Where do I tell people about my Patreon content? On the videos for my free channels. That's where I tell them. You see? And so the issue becomes, of course, where is it that you tell people about what you have to offer? You have to focus on that. First, you have to realize what it is that you are offering, and second, where to find the people that you can offer this to. Me telling random people at the supermarket about my Patreon channel would be a complete waste of my time. Me putting a little snippet at the end of my videos on my free channel, telling them about Patreon, that's the correct use of my time. That is the way you self-promote. And you have to self-promote because nobody is going to do it for you. I mean, I wish that there were some like gnomes out there, some little elves or whatever, you know, maybe on a unicorn somewhere out there flying around and telling people about my Patreon channel. It would be lovely. And telling them also about the other things that I'm involved in, you know, the other things that I need to promote one way or the other. I wish that that were the case. These little gnomes, they're so cute. They'd be running around to people and like pulling on their little hand as they walked around the scene and say, hey mister, yeah, CRP has a Patreon channel. You should go in and subscribe to it. Yeah, I wish that were the case, but you know, weirdly, it's not the case. I have to do it. Nobody else is going to do it for me. The same for you. You have to self-promote. Nobody else is going to do it for you. And like I said, you have to know when to do it. Now, most of the time, of course, here on Patreon and YouTube, this whole, scene, as it were, I promote stuff by way of videos. But in the real world, the way you self-promote is by talking to individuals in decision-making positions. That's how you do it. And whenever you are talking to somebody who potentially has control over your fate, whose decision can improve your fate, what you have to do is thinking to yourself, how do I impress this person? How do I make them think highly of me? What do I say? What do I show them? What do I do so that they think this guy is aces and I want to help him, maybe bring him onto my team or give him more responsibility or more money or whatever. See? You have to figure out how to do that with every interaction with someone who can affect your fate. And yes, I know it sounds like sucking up, because the fact is, it is sucking up. And that's the ugliness of the business of self-promotion. You have to suck up to people. You have to suck up to people and impress them. You have to make them think highly of you. You have to manipulate them. And it's ugly, but that's the way it is, okay? And no amount of bitching and moaning about it and complaining about it is going to change that fact. And to be complaining about it and to fight it and to reject it, it only hurts yourself. I mean, it's literally cutting off your nose to spite your face. It is an ugly business and nobody likes it. Nobody likes having to self-promote. Nobody likes having to suck up to some guy and smile at their stupid jokes and drink the drink with them and waste, like half an hour or more with some guy that you think is an idiot and you don't like him and you don't want to be around him. You want to be doing something else, being with your family, watching TV, doing anything except sucking up to this guy. But the thing is, see, you need to do this, or else you're not going to improve your situation. You're not going to climb. You're not going to succeed. Like I said, it would be wonderful if we had these little gnomes who would promote us, who would scurry around everywhere around the world doing the promotional work for us, and we would just focus on the work and nothing else. Yeah, it would be wonderful if that were the case. It's not the case. And it never will be the case. So many guys who are incredibly talented, incredibly capable, incredibly smart. I mean, they are just aces in every regard, but they never learn how to self-promote. They never learn how to put their names out there, how to impress the right people, to think highly of them so as to get job, work, whatever. These very capable, very talented people who do not know how to self-promote, they never amount to much. They never amount to anything more than just a cog in the machine. Because you see, have you noticed cogs in the machine? Yeah? The cogs in any machine. Do they self-promote? Of course not. They don't self-promote. They're just there. They just lie there. The little cogs, right? Cogs for watches or factory machines or whatever. They just sit there. And an engineer will come along and will look for one in particular, one that fits the machine that he's building. And he'll find this cog and say, oh, this cog fits perfectly. Measures it, whatnot, with a caliper and whatnot, and takes it, puts it there, and it works like a charm. And it's just one more cog in the machine. And it never really succeeds. It's just there. It's used by other people. Its fate is in the hands of other people. By self-promoting, you control your fate more. You are able to achieve more. You are able to distinguish yourself from all the other people who are like you, including all the other people who might be smarter and better and more talented than you. And you become noticeable. Because there are so many people who are more talented than you, smarter than you, more prepared than you, and yet they will not succeed as much as you will if you self-promote, if you push yourself, if you push your name out into the world so that everybody knows who you are. You're not just one more cog in a bin of cogs. No, you're somebody special. You're somebody noticeable because you've gone out and pushed your name out there so that people know about it. That's what you have to do in order to succeed in this life. Oddly enough, it's the very, very capable, very, very smart guy who resists this the most because he's not very good at self-promotion. Yeah? It's the fairly untalented, not very good, not very smart guy who's a demon for self-promotion because he's got nothing else. You see? He doesn't have anything else going for him, so he pushes like a maniac. He pushes and pushes and pushes his name out there. He self-promotes. He smiles at everybody and has a drink with everybody and constantly keeps saying stuff like, yeah, I worked on this project and I was key for it, and if it weren't for me, it wouldn't have succeeded. That's semi bullshit, right? But it works for him. He succeeds. He climbs. And the other guy, smarter than him, more talented than him, more prepared than him, doesn't. The guy just does not succeed. And that guy, what happens with that guy who doesn't self-promote? He's resentful, he's angry, he gets bitter. Because he says, I'm smarter, I'm better, I know more, I'm more prepared, more capable in this task. And that ignoramus loser, all he does is sucks up and he gets ahead. And what about me? Well, what about you? They say the squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's very true. But more to the point, you see, people won't know about you unless you speak up for yourself. It's as simple as that. Because people aren't psychic. They see somebody who's very quiet and doesn't say anything, right? And they figure, oh, there's nothing there, and they ignore him. Yeah? Somebody who speaks up, pushes his name out there, smiles and schmoozes and does all the things that you might find very distasteful. Frankly, I often find it very distasteful. But, well, they're going to get ahead. And that's the facts of life, and there's nothing to be done about it. So if you're smart, you're capable, you're this, that, the other, you're all aces, and you're not getting ahead, ask yourself if you're self-promoting yourself enough. Ask yourself if you need to do more of it. Understand that nobody has ever succeeded without self-promotion. No one. Every person you look at, in every endeavor, whatever that endeavor may be, they got there because they self-promoted themselves. They pushed themselves out there. Or, as in a few random cases, they were lucky enough to have somebody who promoted them for him. Franz Kafka comes to mind. Franz Kafka never really pushed anything of his books. He was just, he was just really this genius who just sat there and did nothing insofar as pushing his work out there. It was his friend, I think his name was Max Broder, who was the one who pushed his work, especially after Kafka died. But my point, see, you need somebody to promote you. And the only one who's going to do that is you.